everybody, it's Dr. Joe and Precious Remy, and today we're going to show you general stretches and exercises for the foot and ankle. And this is the 8th day of my moderate whole body 10-day wellness challenge. If you want to know more about it, stick around to the end. So let's get started. Disclaimer alert, disclaimer alert. So before we get started with the foot and the ankle, you're going to need some pieces of equipment. So first of all, you need a stretch strap or a belt or a dog leash to do some stretching. You're going to need a resistive band for the exercises, and if you don't have a resistive band, that's okay. You can do the exercises without the bands, but since this is the moderate challenge, you probably want to use eventually some resistive bands. So I like the ones here with the long pieces and then a little loop on the end to be able to put around your foot. So if you want to go ahead and tie the knot before, sometimes it takes a while to get that knot nice and tied so it doesn't slip on you, so you might want to get that ready. And then just a rolled up either towel, or this is just a cut pool noodle, nice and cheap to use, just to lift up your foot to keep your heel free of whatever you're lying down on so you can get some extra movement. And then we're going to be doing some standing exercises at the end, so make sure you either have a sturdy chair next to you so you can hold on to balance, or your countertop. You just take your computer over to your countertop, because when you're doing those in the beginning, you want to make sure that you've got something to hold on to for balance. So we're just going to start with the warm up to get going, and I'll talk a little bit more as we go. So let's just start off with some ankle pumps to get the ankle and the foot moving a little bit. So if you've already followed along with the beginner challenge, or if you're following along with the moderate challenge with me, you know we go in 30-second groupings. So instead of doing exercises and stretches for reps, we're just going to do 30 seconds. So you can kind of go along and do your own pace. So, you know, I might be able to get 15 in, you might even only be able to get, 7 or 8 to start off with. So using time is nice to kind of go at your own pace and do what works best for you. So in between each 30 seconds, we'll have a short break, and then in between each group of exercises and stretches, we'll have a longer break. Then maybe go into some circles to get those ankles loosened up. You might be able to hear some cracking and popping in my ankles. Several sprains growing up playing basketball and soccer, so they like to make a lot of noise while they make those movements. And then you can just, go clockwise, counterclockwise, circling around, and then switching it up a little bit. Getting that movement in there. If you need to make smaller circles, that's okay. Again, this is just the warm up to kind of get everything moving. And then one of my favorites is the alphabet. So you can either just go through the alphabet, you can do capital, you can do lowercase, you can do cursive if you want to do some cursive, or you can just spell out some things if you want to, like Joe's fans are the best, and just kind of work through that. Again, this is really just kind of get everything moving, get everything loosened up before we get going. So starting off, I like to put the roll there, like I said, just to keep my heel free and moving. If you're just flat, it's okay, but you won't have as good of movement. We're going to start off with dorsiflexion, which is pulling up. So ideally, you want to have that band anchored down somewhere. You can use your other foot, like me, pulling up. But if you want to anchor it maybe around a table leg, or have someone else just hold it down there for you, or you can anchor it into a doorway if you want to. But for me, I like just using my other foot, because then you don't need to go find somewhere to anchor it down. But just pulling up towards me to that dorsiflexion motion. You can either alternate back and forth if you want to, or you can just do them both on one side. But I'm just going to kind of show you here. So I'm just pulling up this way getting that pull. And if you need to tighten up the band a little bit more to give yourself more resistance, you can. And like I said, if you happen to not have a resistive band, you can just do that pulling up motion and just work on that without a resistive band. But ideally, you want to hopefully get a resistive band so you can get that extra work in there. And switching back over, usually the knot goes on the opposite direction that you're going. So if I'm pulling forward, that knot's going to be underneath. Getting that nice pull. That's working those anterior tibialis muscles. Those are the ones that help pull our foot up when we're walking. And so these are really important to work to make sure that you don't trip and fall. If you feel like you stumble over your toes a lot, this is the muscle that might need a little bit of work there. And again, that nice smooth motion when you're pulling it up. Now, if this long sitting position that I'm in is a little bit uncomfortable for you, you can do this sitting in a chair with your feet out. You can lie all the way down. That's fine as well. Like if you're having a little bit of uncomfortableness in your hips when you're sitting up in this long sitting, you can lie all the way down. I'm just sitting up because it's easier for me to kind of talk to you while we're doing this. So that nice pull going upwards, and try and get that other foot just a little bit further down so you're getting that resistance coming up this way. So then the next one is going to be plantar flexion. So that's going to be pushing down. Try and keep that band about at the ball of your foot if you can. Too much higher, it's going to slip off and you don't want it to slip off. And too much lower, you're not going to actually really get that resistance that you want. So really kind of pushing down and nice and slow coming back up. So getting that motion in there. And so this then is working the calf area underneath on the back side of the legs there. So like when you're pushing off when you're walking, these are the ones that you want to do. So if you are doing this and you start having this kind of wiggling motion when you're doing it, that means that the resistive band is probably a little too much. So you might want to either try without it or give yourself a little bit more slack when you're doing that. Let me move that so you can kind of see here, and really try and get that full range if you can. Come all the way up and push all the way downwards. So it's not just here, you're really trying to come all the way back up after you push all the way down. I always like starting off with the lightest band. If you haven't used resistive bands before, definitely start off with the lightest one, because sometimes it feels easy while you're doing it, but then later you feel it a little bit more and you realize that you've been working it a lot more than you think you have. So pushing down and nice and slow coming back up. So again, and then if you're just bouncing back up, really try and control it. And if you feel like you're not being able to control it very well, either give yourself more slack in the resistive band, or maybe just try them without the resistive band first and then work your way up to using the band. If you need more, you can pull it a little bit tighter, or you can go to the next resistant band. And then pushing down. See, that one wiggled just a little bit. So maybe I would want to take a little bit of slack off there as I'm pushing down. So the next one is going to be eversion, which is taking the foot outwards. So when I put this on, I want the knot to be on the other side going outwards. And then so the way to get that resistance is just wrap it around the other foot. So now I'm going outwards this way. So what you want to make sure is the whole leg isn't going. I'm not rotating the whole leg. I want that movement to be just at the ankle there. So I'm pushing out, coming back in. That eversion, going out and coming back in. And then again, if you want to just do both of them on one side instead of changing, as long as they're not super tired, that's fine. Exercise 3. So that eversion going outwards. And if you have to hold on to your leg to get that motion without moving the whole leg, that's fine to do. And then switching back over, getting that knot on the opposite side of the way you want to go, and then turning out and in. This eversion motion also happens when we're walking, pulling our toes up. A lot of times it'll go out as well a little bit to clear those toes when we walk. And these also tend to get a little weak if we sprain our ankle. So these are good to start doing once you're cleared, to start doing those exercises to get them stronger again. And flipping over all the way around, and then going out. And again, same with all of these. If this sitting up in this long sitting position is uncomfortable, feel free to lie all the way down once you get it set up, because you want to make sure that you're comfortable. You don't want to end up irritating something else while you're working on these. So now we're just going to do, as you can imagine, inversion the opposite way. So the way to do that is cross your foot over and then wrap it around your foot. So the foot on top is the one that has the band, and then you're just anchoring it with the other foot. So now I'm going to be turning my foot inwards. And again, depending on how much tension you need, you can change that band. So again, see, I'm just doing that inversion going inwards at the ankle. I'm not rolling the whole leg over, which is a lot of times what people want to do. Really focus on getting that movement just at the ankle. And again, if the crossing the legs and anchoring it with your other foot might be a little difficult, if you've got someone at home to hold the band, just have them hold the band for you in each direction. Again, that pulling in. Sometimes this one's really good to get at the ball of the foot, because otherwise that band might try and slide down a little bit. See, it slid a little bit on the other one there. So sometimes with these, either not having socks on or having socks and shoes on, having your shoes on helps kind of anchor it a little bit better. But y'all know I like my socks. Exercise 4. Turning in. You can see my toes like to do funny things when I'm doing ankle exercises, so yours might want to do that too. They're waving at you, I guess. And again, if this feels like, I'm kind of continuously going, if this feels like it's a lot, take a little break in between, kind of reset everything, and then go out. If you feel like it's starting to do that wiggle thing, that usually just means it's getting really tired. So if you need to take some extra breaks in between, feel free to do that. All right, and now we're going to go on the other side. That nice and slow, controlled movement. And then taking that long break. And now we're going to go into a calf stretch. So this one, you're going to get your strap and just put right at the ball of the foot there. And then you're going to use the strap to get you the stretch. So you're not actively pulling towards you, but you're getting this pull to get that stretch through your calf area right now. So I'm feeling that underneath there. I'm just relaxing. This is a full 30-second hold, getting that nice stretch in the calf there. This is a great time to do some of that diaphragmatic breathing. So when you breathe in, as you let out, a lot of times you can get that extra stretch in there. And then switching over to the other side. If you want to do them both on one side so you don't have to switch back and forth, you can, but I'm just kind of giving each one a little bit of a break. So that nice big pull with the strap. So your foot's really relaxed. You're making that movement with the strap, and I'm feeling that stretch under there. And again, stretching shouldn't be painful. It should be kind of that hurt so good, or, you know, it's a good kind of hurt. You feel it, it's uncomfortable, but you can tell it's doing something good. It's a good stretch. You're able to hold it for that 30 seconds without, you know, tears coming down your face, you know, just nice and relaxed, getting that nice stretch in there. But it shouldn't be sharp pain. It shouldn't be pain that you don't feel like you can hold for 30 seconds. So that nice stretch in there. And then switching back over. And same thing with this one. If this is uncomfortable sitting up in this position, you can definitely do it lying down. Especially if your stretch strap or your dog leash or your belt's long enough. You know, make sure you're in a comfortable position while you're stretching, because you want those muscles to be nice and relaxed, because that's going to get the best stretch out of them. So now we're going to go into some standing stretches. This is the one where if you've got your countertop or your chair, it's a great place to do it, but you don't need those if you feel like you've got good balance. So the side I want to stretch, I'm putting back behind me. Heel stays down, leg stays straight in the back, front knee bends forward, so if I need to hold onto a chair, I can. But now I'm getting that calf stretch in a standing position. So the further I bend forward, the more stretch I'm going to feel. But same thing, where it shouldn't be uncomfortable, it shouldn't be painful. If you feel off balance, if this is difficult to do, make sure you're holding onto that chair for balance to get that nice stretch in there, because you don't want to be, you know, wobbling around trying to get the stretch. Then just shifting sides. So the foot that goes back, that heel stays down the whole time. Back leg straight, front knee slightly bent to get that stretch. Again, if you want to hold on to the chair, you can, but I feel like I have good enough balance where I can get that stretch. So usually I try and show people how to do things where you don't need, you know, any kind of extra equipment. But you could even do this against a wall. So I'm just holding on to the wall for some balance if I feel like I'm a little off balance, and getting that nice stretch in there. And again, getting that comfortable stretch, doing some nice deep breathing to help get that deeper stretch in there. Making sure that heel stays down. A lot of times people want to bring that heel up, but make sure you're keeping that heel down and getting that nice stretch. And again, and your leg doesn't have to be super far back. Some people ask how far. If you take it a little further back, you'll get a little bit more of a stretch. But again, make sure you're comfortable with the balance and make sure you're keeping that heel down. If you take your leg further back and you can't get the heel down, then you're really not going to get that stretch that you need. So then the next one is going to be a soleus stretch. So the soleus muscle is underneath those calf muscles. So the way to do that is going to be the exact same setup. Use that chair if you need it. But this time the back leg is actually going to bend. That takes the calf out of it so you can stretch that soleus muscle. So both knees are bent this time. So I'm kind of getting that bend here, still keeping that heel down and getting that stretch. Some people feel this a little bit more in the front of their ankle if there's some tightness in that ankle joint a little bit. So if you need to kind of play with it a little bit, if you need to kind of take your bottom back some to get that bend, sometimes I'll feel that now a little bit more in the soleus than the ankle. So just kind of, if you feel it more in the front, shift your position just a little bit and you should feel it in that soleus area. But again, just kind of the same setup, except this time you're bending the knee to take that calf out of it. And again, getting that nice deep breathing so you can get that extra stretch in there, bending that knee. And then again, making sure that heel is down, front knee bent, back knee bent, and then almost sitting into it if you need to. Now I'm going to take a second for my thumbnail picture. You can take one along with me if you want to. Nice bend in there, and that nice deep breathing. And again, feel free to hold on to something for balance because you really want to focus on the stretch and not be worried about falling over. So if you feel like you need to hold on to something, definitely hold on to something. And hopefully as you get going, then you'll feel more comfortable to have that balance, which will show that you've got some more strength in there as well. So the next one is just going to be heel toe raises. So again, if you need that chair or that countertop for a little bit of balance, make sure that you are using something so you can focus on the exercise. And then once you get the exercise down, then you can start focusing on balance a little bit. So it's just like it sounds. You're going up, bringing those heels up, coming down, lifting those toes up. When you lift your toes up, make sure you're not sticking your bottom out. Really use those muscles to lift those toes up. So heel, toe, heel, toe. And so I'm going a little bit faster just because I feel like I can comfortably do that. But if you need to go a little bit slower, nice and slow down. As long as you're controlling the motion, you can go a little bit faster. But if you need to slow it down, it'll be harder, but make sure you're getting that correct technique. Make sure you're not just plopping back down once you do that heel raise, because coming down is equally as important. So coming up, down, toes up, down. That was a little bit faster. So again, if you need to hold on to something, definitely hold on to it until you really get that pattern down. You can really feel that work in the calves and those anterior tibialis muscles, lifting those toes up. So the next one is just going to be a single leg heel raise. We're just going to do one on each side because these are pretty tough. Again, hold on to something to start off with because you really want to make sure you're controlling that motion up and down. And sometimes that's a little challenging. So making sure that you're getting that good balance going up and nice and slow coming back down. So this one, we're not adding the toes into it. We're really just focusing on up and down. So see, that was a little fast, nice and slow up and down. If this is difficult, but you want to try it without holding on, for these, the balance exercise type things when you're standing, sometimes having shoes on actually helps just a little bit. And then it gets a little bit harder without wearing shoes because it just makes it a solid surface. So when you don't have your shoes on, that definitely makes it more challenging. So that's another progression. Leave your shoes on in the beginning and then work your way. You can see the side's a little bit weaker to doing it without your shoes on. Good. And then slowing it down just a little bit. And if you have to touch down each time, you can see, you know, my left side is definitely a little bit weaker than my right side. You can touch down, reset, and then come back down if you need to. So now we're going to go into some squats. So just squatting down, not actually sitting down or touching the couch or the chair that you're next to, but have something back there just in case if you need to sit all the way down. So feet a little bit past hip width apart, keep your feet flat down, squatting down and coming back up. So I'm going to do a little bit of an angle because try and keep your knees behind your toes. I know a lot of people want to argue that that's not something that has to be done. But believe me, if you have knee pain or hip pain, keeping those knees behind your toes takes the pressure off that area. So a lot of times people say, hey, well, you know, we're working our ankles and our feet. What are squats doing? Well, they have to keep that balance. Your feet and your ankles are working a lot more than you think they are in a squat. So you're getting that, you're getting your knees and your hips and your back working out a little bit. So it's a nice kind of whole body. But for me, when I'm doing therapeutic squats, I want to keep those knees behind the toes. And that's why really sticking that bottom back, really getting everything activated in there, trying to keep equal weight on each side of the feet, and keeping those heels down the whole time. Yeah, so there you have it. That was my general stretches and exercises for the foot and ankle, which is also day number 8 in my moderate 10-day whole body wellness challenge. If you want to find out more about it, click on the link in the description below. And if you want to check out more videos in the moderate or even the beginner challenge, click on the playlist up there. And remember, be safe, have fun, and I hope you feel better soon.